Welcome everyone out to McRae, Georgia to the Spanish Moss Car Show. And we're starting off our show today with Dwayne.
Yes, sir.
And Dwayne, what's your last name?
Carter.
All right, we're with Dwayne Carter, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful Chevy truck behind me. Did you haul it in? Did you bring
No,
it
sir.
in? You drove it?
We drove it in.
And you enjoyed every minute of it?
Yes, sir. Every minute of it. Me and the grandbaby, we brought it on in here this morning.
Well, first of all, you got to tell us about your grandbaby.
Baden Carter, he's sitting over there playing in the sand with his toys over here. He's almost 5 years old, and he loves car showing and playing in the sand with his toys.
You got your riding partner.
Got my riding partner, yes, sir.
All right, so you have a 1951?
1951 Chevrolet 3100 pickup.
Awesome, beautiful. Tell us the story behind this vehicle.
My wife's brother owned this truck originally. Bought it out of Hazelhurst, and for years he drove it back into the Hazelhurst to work. I had been interested in it, so he decided to sell it. So we went and purchased it, and had to go carry it home and park it till we could save up enough money to get her running. So in April of 2014, we went on our first joyride and to our first show. And ever since then, if we can find one, we try to make it. Mm-hmm. So we have been to lots of them.
Yeah. So what kind of shape was it in when you bought it?
It was, I say, drivable, running condition, but it was it had a paint job on it. It was needed restoration.
Yeah.
So we took it down piece by piece, refinished what we could, and replaced what we had to. And like I say, it was a labor of love, of course, but we was managed to, like I say, in 2014 to bring it out after 11 years.
11 years.
11-year build. Yeah. Saving and buying parts, saving and buying parts.
Mm-hmm. And you put a lot into it, I'm sure.
Yes, sir. We won't talk about it because my wife doesn't know. So
better left unsaid.
Better left unsaid.
Better
That's
left.
Right.
All right, but let's talk about some of the things you did to the automobile. You reworked the engine, the motor.
Yes, sir. We pulled the 6-cylinder with the 3-speed manual transmission out, and changed the rear end to a 12-bolt GM, went to an automatic transmission, and put a 350 engine in it, high-performance engine, put a power steering conversion kit on it, put power brake conversion kit on it, and a lot of people are amazed at the fact it's actually still on the original frame with the straight axle under it.
Wow.
Yes, sir. It's all underneath. We tried to keep it as much as original as we could, but yet make it drivable. So, so everything underneath it's been redone.
And since you got it restored, got it going, how many miles you put on it?
Oh my, it's hard to say over 5 years. As I say, first off, if we had long distance, we would haul it because just a liability.
Sure.
But since then, we've kind of let the leash out a little bit. We'll travel a little further now. So probably on any given day, 45, 50 miles away, we'll drive it.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Dwayne, what's all that in the back of it? What's all that in?
That's multiple car shows, winning trophies.
Yeah. What was your first win? What was your first trophy, Dwayne?
Our first trophy was in Baxley, like I say, April of 2014. It had a show over there, and it got first place in its class. And we've got, if you can go back there and see, we got a lot of first place. We got best of shows overall classes. So actually, it's fared well. It's done me good. And we enjoy it.
Yeah, and with a truck bed of trophies like that, which one stands out to you? What's more special?
A lot of people like the Oak Park Moonshine Festival because they give out the moonshine jugs.
Yeah.
We've been fortunate to grab us 2, and that show is next week. So we'll probably be over to hopefully grab our 3rd.
I've heard a lot about it. Does the trophy come full of moonshine?
No, they just will not do that. They told us up front, said the jugs will be empty, but now after you leave, you can put whatever you want in them.
Yeah. I understand that's a great festival, and we look forward to trying to make it to that one. But we love coming out to car shows like this and love seeing beautiful Chevy pickups like yours.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So your brother-in-law,
yes, sir.
He's still around.
He is.
Yeah. What does he say about the truck now? Has he tried to buy it back from you?
No, sir. Believe it or not, he has not even sold it. He's a working man. He stays busy, and he's hard to catch at home. So believe it or not, over 5 years, he has not saw it.
You'd have to send him a picture on his phone or something now, Dwayne.
His wife, the kids, and everybody has seen it, but he is kind of MIA on the situation. But we'll get him in it one day.
Yeah, he doesn't want to see it, I don't think,
Well,
Dwayne.
it's
He's
probably
heard
30
about it.
years. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
It's probably-
Hey, best of luck in the show today. Thank you,
you very
Dwayne.
much.
Best
Thank
of
you.
luck to you.
Hello, I'm Darren King with Clements & King Insurance. Have you found yourself without health insurance, maybe because of a life-changing event such as losing a job, getting married, or maybe the birth of a new child? Traditionally, the open enrollment period is November and December, but if you've had this life-changing event anytime during the year, you can qualify to apply for health insurance. Give us a call, Clements & King Insurance, your health insurance specialist, 272-8019.
Hi, I'm Tracy Middlebrooks. I'm with Muddy Paws Dublin. We are a boarding, grooming, daycare, and training facility. Our facility is a group play area. Our dogs get 6 to 8 hours playtime every day. So when your dog comes to stay with us, they're not just sitting in a kennel. We have indoor facilities as well as outdoor facilities. We do separate dogs according to size and temperament. All of our kennels are indoors, so when your dog stays with us, they are sleeping indoors in a climate-controlled environment. When it's too hot or too cold outside, this is one of the areas the dogs can come to get playtime. That way they're not just sitting in a kennel. If need be, we can rotate dogs between outside and inside. So if your dog is only used to the inside and only goes outside to potty, we can accommodate that. We have a full-service grooming salon 6 days a week. We also offer training. I am a certified professional dog trainer. I can do everything from basic obedience up to canine good citizens test. So if you have any questions, feel free to call. Most of the training is done here on site. We have boarding also as well as daycare. Boarding starts at $27 a night. We do give a multiple dog discount as well as military discounts. We like to say that a tired dog is a happy dog. When your dog comes to stay with us, we look at that as them getting a vacation.
All right, now we made our way down to a newfound friend, Mr. Clyde Joyner. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Joyner.
Sure,
You
welcome.
from right here in McRae.
Yeah, right here in McRae.
Okay. Were you part of the show last year, Mr. Joyner?
I brought my truck last year, a 51 Ford F100, and we just bought this one. And the reason I bought this one is because me and my wife dated in one, and we married, we had one.
Tell me about this Ford Deluxe.
It's an original. It came out of Minnesota, and everything about it's written. It's got 16,000 miles on it. And the main thing that we looked at, it's got a gas heater in it, and they're real rare, real rare. It takes gasoline out of the intake and puts it into the heater, and that makes your heat. And there's only a few of them.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And just a few of them made and probably fewer on the road.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right. But it's got, like I told you, 16,000 miles.
Well, we got to back up just a minute. You got to tell me about your wife.
Oh, okay. We met in high school, and we courted for several years, and then we married. We've been married 58 years.
Congratulations, Mr. Joyner.
And I wanted one.
Yes, sir. Now, what does it take to stay married for 58 years?
A lot of giving and taking.
Yes, sir, I'm sure it does. What's your wife's name?
Andrea.
Andrea.
Yep,
And
Andrea.
y'all, where'd you grow up?
I was born and raised in McRae.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Mr. Joyner, y'all met here in
Yep.
high school.
Married, and I opened a upholstery shop in McRae.
Yes.
And I stayed in business for over 50 years. And then we retired, and we just, other than my little part-time farming, we play with cars.
Yes, sir. So you said you had another Ford.
I got a 51 Ford truck, F100,
Ooh.
and this belongs to the family. It belonged to my daddy and his brother.
Yeah. How special is that to you to be able to drive around in that truck, be able to go sit in it?
Oh, it's something else. It's a feeling that you can't get by just going downtown and buying it.
Yes, sir.
It's real good.
And for you to hang on to it, it's both a blessing
Oh, yeah.
and now it's a responsibility.
It
Mr.
is, and my
Joyner.
son, he kind of got the interest in it, and it'll go to him, and it'll stay in the Joyner family.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
pretty sure for a long time.
I'm glad to be able to speak to you, but right now I want you to turn around. I want you to just tell me a little bit about this motor
Okay.
now. Tell me about
This is a flathead V8, 85 horsepower. Yes. We've converted it to 12 volt. Well, it came with 6 volt, and it would crank it real slow. Woo, woo. Now the 12 volt is just like that.
Yes, sir.
And everything else you see is original. That's the original paint, chassis, everything. We put an aluminum radiator in it. And like I said, it had 16,000 miles on it. It came out of Minnesota, out of a barn find. And
How did you locate it?
well, we were looking on the internet, and Mark happened to come up with it. And I said, let's go look at it. Well, the man had some problems with it, and he wasn't a real mechanic. And I knew basically what was wrong with it. So we brought it home, and I fixed it. Simple fix, but they just, I guess the age or whatever, the brakes were on reversed.
And you've being a farmer,
Yep.
you've had to work on a few things in your lifetime. Mr.
Yes,
Joyner.
tractors and trucks and everything else you can think of.
Yes, sir. So it was no real task for you.
No, just slow because age. It's 44, it's the same year I was born.
I love those headlights. Everything's original.
Everything's original. We just clear coated it, to keep it from rusting anymore.
Yes, sir.
That's the seats are been done.
Yes,
It had
sir.
mohair in it to start with,
Ah.
but this is as close as we could get without spending a fortune,
Yes, sir.
And we did everything else to it: dash, headliners, floor.
But what a beautiful dash and
Isn't that true?
steering wheel.
The color, it's the prettiest color I've ever seen, I reckon.
What color do they book it? What is it?
I think it's called Merlot. It's a grape wine color.
Yes, sir. You don't see one thing in it you see these days, I have to point out. You don't see the seat belts.
No seat belts, and they aren't required by Georgia law. But it would be nice to put some in there. I would like them. I use them all the time.
Okay.
But I don't know how to hide them.
I don't think you could.
No.
But to keep the integrity of this vehicle, Mr. Joyner.
Yes. The trunk, this is the original spare tire wheel. This is the original floor, and the plywood is original that came in it. That right there. That's what they called a tool tray. That's where your jack would go and just miscellaneous storage. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I guess you went and bought the tag right away and had tail fair put on it,
Got
didn't
tail fair put on it. I want to find me a 1940 tag, and I just haven't had a chance to get one. But we went right down and got it and paid the taxes on it.
Do you mostly just sit out in the yard in it, or you take it for a little spin?
No, we drive it every day, believe it or not. We drive it every day.
Why not?
That's right. That's what I wanted. I didn't want one you got to put in the barn and just leave and store. Because it's not good that way to me
Yes, sir.
if you can't drive them.
You don't buy a tractor and put it in the barn, do you?
No, you use it in the field. That's right.
Tell me about your life here in Telfair and McRae. Tell me what it's been like for you.
Oh, it's been great. Like I tell you, I went to grammar school, high school, and we graduated here. I met my wife here. We raised our children here. I have 3 children, boy and 2 girls.
Tell me their names.
Mark Joyner is the boy, Saranda Joyner Clark, and Rachel Purvis is Howard she is now. She lives in Warner Robins, and they have, I'm trying to figure out how many grandchildren I got.
Keep adding up
They
on
keep
you,
adding
don't
up.
they, Mr.
Well,
Joyner?
I got 4 great grands.
Wonderful.
We have
Life's
a wonderful
been good,
time.
hasn't
It has.
Mr.
It really
Joyner?
has.
Yeah. They don't like to get in these cars and ride with you,
Oh,
do
yes, they do. That's the first thing they want to do is when they get in is to ride in that car.
they? Yes,
And
sir.
we oblige them.
Yes, I'm sure you do. So what do you just put? What kind of fuel you put in there?
Well, they got this new gas that you put in all vehicles. It's got alcohol in it, ethanol. But this car doesn't run well on ethanol. We put 100% gas in it because it's got a little bit of lead in it. And these cars, older cars, require that because if you leave it in the gas bowl, it'll just rust. It'll seize up.
Yes, sir.
So we eliminate that and just use the high price gas.
Yes, sir. It's well worth it.
It's well worth it. Yes, it is.
Gosh, thank you. Maybe next time we come down, Mr. Jordan, we'll have a look at that Ford truck.
Oh yeah, I'll bring it. I'll have Mark to bring it, and we'll bring this one.
Let's talk about the park just for a minute, because that's
Sure.
truly why we're here.
Yeah.
You spent some time in here growing up, I reckon.
Yeah, we fished and we skied here, and at night we'd even put out limb lines and catch fish, and catch white perch. The Boy Scouts, I never was in them, but Boy Scout troops over here, they got a cabin, and it is really nice. My daddy worked for the CCC camp, and they cut the timber out of that pond and built that log main house down there in 33, I think, 34, somewhere along in there. Chester Riles in town was the superintendent of the whole crew, and my dad wound up cooking for them, 400 men.
That was some kind of project, and look how we're blessed for it up to
Oh,
today.
it's a beautiful place. It really is.
I know I've enjoyed it through the years, traipsing around here and having a good time as a young'un on up to an adult, and bringing my young'uns over. But it's important to support the park.
It's real important. People don't realize what they've got. It was given to the state years and years ago, and it's the only thing they charge is a parking fee, and everybody ought to use it because it's a beautiful place.
It's well worth the drive from anywhere, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yes, sir. Golf course, whatever you want to play. Got a motel. Do whatever you want to do.
Well, Mr. Joyner, I hope people will come down and visit if they hadn't been to the park lately, or if they're out of the area and catch this online. Then they'll want to come to the state park here in McRae,
Right.
and enjoy it. If they get out tooling around town, they just liable to run into you in this car or your Ford.
I'll be at the Piggly Wiggly.
Thank you, Mr. Joyner.
You're welcome.
Hey, my name is Chloe Zeckley. I do paintings for the Angel Babies. I raised $2,040 last year, and that all went to charity to the Salvation Army. If you are interested in getting one, you can come to the car lot of East Dublin, right across from the Dairy Queen.
Midstate Pools and Spas knows pools, in-ground pools to above-ground pools. Midstate Pools and Spas has over 35 years in the industry, building over 3,000 pools. We build all of our own pools, never subcontracting the work out. So if you're ready to build a pool, renovate a pool, or if you need weekly maintenance or liner replacement with a full 20-year warranty, call the professionals at Midstate Pools and Spas. Visit our showroom today at 2273 Veterans Boulevard in Dublin and see the new line of Marquee Spas. For the ultimate in hot tub experiences, choose Marquee Spas. Also see our new selection of casual patio furniture, available now at our showroom, Midstate Pools and Spas, where we know pools.
Now on the show, ladies and gentlemen, we caught up with Larry Myers from Macon, Georgia. Larry has a beautiful Chevy here, an Impala that's just, absolutely gorgeous. It's pristine.
Thank you.
It is absolutely beautiful. And not only that, you got a Georgia Bulldog on the front of it. You got a Georgia Bulldog. It's Georgia Bulldog colors, so go Dogs. But right now, we want to know a little bit about this beautiful car. Now, you got to tell me where you got the car and the story behind it.
Well, I found, actually, a buddy of mine, who was a truck driver, found it over in Boaz, Alabama, and he took pictures of it. And he came to the Waffle House there in Macon one Saturday morning and threw a pack of pictures on the table and said, "Larry, you need to go look at this one, buddy." He says, "This one's a good one." I looked up to my friend right across the table from me. I said, "Charlie, you want to go to Boaz, Alabama in the morning?" I'd already looked at the pictures. He said, "Sure, I'll ride over there with you." So we went to Boaz the next morning. There's a place over there called Grizz's Used Cars, just before you get into Boaz, on the left. He's probably got $200,000 worth of old cars over there. And there was two of these sitting there, and I picked out the black one with the red stripe. At the time, that's what its color was. So I asked him if I could drive it down the road, and I did. Come back. On the way back, I called Charlie on my cell phone, and I says, unload the ramp side of the trailer, Charlie. We're gonna take this one home with us. So, sure enough, I went in and I paid the man for it and everything, and we hauled it home. And as I was driving in the driveway with it, my wife come out and says, "What'd you get?" I says, "I got me a Fred Flintstone car." She said, "What do you mean?" I says, "Go look in the floorboards." There was no floorboards much in it. You could put your feet through it, and you could have paddled it down the road if you wanted to. But it was a nice enough car that I could start with anyway. So I drove it about 2 years, I guess, just the way it was, just piddling around with it. And finally I decided, well, I think I'll try to make a daily driver out of it. Well, I kept going with it and kept going with it and that kind of stuff, and I kept finding prettier things to put on it. And it ended up a show car, which I didn't really want to do that way, but it's the way it ended up, and I've been enjoying it ever since.
Tell me about your affinity for the car. Where'd you first see the car in your life?
My stepfather had one in 1961. He bought it, and we was building a house where we lived at the time, and he wanted some cigarettes. He said, "Larry, go get me some cigarettes." Well, I had my motorcycle out there, and he thought I was going to ride my motorcycle. Well, I jumped in his car and took it off up to the store, and I was about 15 at the time. And I came back. I said, "Hey, Leonard," I says, "here's your cigarettes," and I chunked them up there to him. And he says, "What did you drive?" I says, "You're 61. He said, "You know how to drive that thing?" I says, "Yeah, it's an automatic. It's easy."
Yeah.
Like that, you know. And he says, "How'd you like it?" I says, "I really like it. I'm going to have one day." And that's how I got to love this model, actually.
Got the bug.
Yes, I did.
How many car shows you been in, Larry?
A lot. Let's put it that way.
So far, so good, right?
Yes. Really good so far.
And did you come to this one last year? You just
No,
found
this
out about it?
I found out about it this year. In fact, I had open heart surgery last year. I couldn't have made it. So
Okay.
this
Looks
year
like
I'm
you're faring pretty well.
yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome. Well, let's turn around here and let's talk about some of the work. Just hold this right here.
Okay.
Tell me about some of the work you did on the motor.
Well, I've done all the work on the car except for the paint and upholstery.
You personally.
Yes, I did all the mechanic work. I can't do painting and upholstery. I can't even paint out of a spray can. So, but I bought the engine at a junkyard up in Griffin, and it come out of an '87 Corvette. And I put a 4-speed overdrive transmission in it, and it's got a 336 gear in it, and it gets 25 miles a gallon at 70 miles an hour. And that's what I wanted. I wanted a good cruising car. It's got a little power too, but because it's a vet motor, but still. Me and the wife, we go to Panama City every year in it to a car show down there called the Emerald Coast Cruise, and it gets, like I said, 25 miles a gallon down there and back, just like clockwork. And
Larry, people never stop and talk to you on the road, do they?
well, they give me the thumbs up, they beep the horn,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff,
Yes, sir.
and they wave at us.
Yes.
And my wife waves at me because I'm trying to keep my eyes on the
both
road.
hands
Yeah. And finally, I stopped on the way down to Panama City one year along the road right below Dothan, Alabama. And I told her, I says, "Your turn to drive." And she'd been hounding me a little bit about driving. She says, "No, I'm not going to drive it." I says, "Yes, you are. You've been hounding me too much." So she drove it all the way into Panama City, and she enjoyed it too. So
What's your wife's name?
her real name is Marquita. Everybody calls her Skeeter because she's so little. But we really enjoy the car. I had a friend of mine do the upholstery in Macon, and he's been in the upholstery business for 40-something years, I think it is. And then I had another friend of mine in Warner Robins that painted the car. But the rest of it was done by me, my little self.
How long did it take you working on the car? How long did it take?
It's a 3-year project. I used to work for Georgia Power at a power plant, and I'd work 12 hours a day, and then I'd come home and work on this thing about 4 hours, and then I'd go in and take me a shower and go to bed and get up and do the thing again the next day. So I've really enjoyed this car, me and my wife, and my grandsons are liking it now too because they're up in age where they can ride in it real safe. And I used to go just about every weekend for 2 or 3 years. Now I just kind of don't go as much because, like I said, I had that heart surgery and I can't stay out in the sun in the summer very long, but I do pick out certain ones I like to go to that I've never been to before. So, and this is my first year here at this one. So I redid the dash in it. It's not got the stock gauges in it, as you can tell, but I made that piece where the gauges are so they would all fit like they should. So had the trunk done the same way as the interior. And the stripe down the side is the same color as the interior. It's even got a 1961 plate on it, and that's actually a Bibb County plate too. The reason they call it a bubble top is because of the rear window. It's got slight bubble in it if you look at it from the side more. But they made this bubble top car in 61 and 62. Most of them were Bel Airs. It was only 142, I think, with the research I've made, of the Impala in 61 that had 409 motors, which is the big motor they put in them. All of the aluminum on it, which is the side molding and the grills and the headlight bezels and taillight bezels, have all been polished and re-anodized. It makes it look like chrome. All the molding around the windows and the windshields are all that stainless steel. And that's all the original molding on it, by the way. All the original stainless around the windows. And you can always tell it's an Impala because it's got 6 taillights in it.
Dublin Ford Lincoln's favorite part about serving our community is all of the wonderful friendships that we build, and Ty Martinez is one of those friends.
I asked for a truck and I couldn't ask for anything better. I mean, when he got the truck, it was exactly what I wanted. And they went, I think this one came from Tennessee, got out of town and brought it to me. Oh, come Dublin Ford, check them out before you check anybody else out.
Others call you customers, we call you friends. That's Dublin Ford Lincoln.
The temperature's rising and summer's almost here, so why not make a big splash with your family and friends this summer with a pool from Georgia Pools. And you can relax in a luxurious feeling hot tub or sauna, available from Georgia Pools. Our above ground pools start as low as $54.95 with no down payments and easy financing. Georgia Pools has a large selection of pool chemicals and accessories. Name brands like Polaris, Aquabuy, and Protein Chemicals. There's a lot more to choose from. And if you already have a pool and need a liner, in-ground liner replacements are as low as $105.49 per month with no money down. Give Georgia Pools a call at 275-3607 or stop by and visit the showroom today at 1201 Hillcrest Parkway, Dublin.
All right, now, again, we're at the Mossy Oak Car Show, the second annual, from what I understand. We're here with Robert Blizzard. Robert, you from right here in McRae, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
And you got a beautiful car here behind us. You say you got all matching numbers.
It's
Everything's original.
It's all original, all matching numbers. It's a 1963 Super Sport Impala, true Super Sport. It's got the matching block, matching intake, matching carburetor, transmission, rear end. I've done a full body and chassis restoration on it, and me and my dad, and it took us about 3 years to do in a barn just on the weekends. It was just a little family project. It was a family-owned car. So it was a one-owner car, and when they passed, his daughter had it, and she wanted to get rid of it, but she decided to let me have it as long as I kept it in the family, and I took pictures of it all the way through the build, and it was just something to, for me and my old man to do together. But we brought it back to life, and we kept it just like it come off the showroom floor.
Everything, color,
matching color, everything. We didn't change nothing. Just took us a while to find the parts to go back together, but once we got it all back together, it was a beautiful ride.
Robert, on behalf of car lovers everywhere, thank you for restoring this, for keeping it all original, and for bringing it out and let people enjoy it today.
Yeah, that's the only time I take it out. I don't really get out and ride in it. It's a daily driver if I wanted it to be, but I prefer, to keep it in the shop and pull it out and wash it and clean it up and go to the local car shows.
How many car shows you been in? I see a trunk full of trophies.
Well, I've been in a few locals, They seem to have them once a year, so I just continue to go back to them, But,
so, Robert, tell me about who originally owned the car and why it means so much to you and your family.
Well, it was my uncle's car. He bought it brand new as a pretty much as a joke. Him and his wife always come down out of Macon in a Cadillac. And he growed up here, and his buddy would catch him because he knew when he was coming, and he drove a Chevelle, and they would race all the way to the house, and of course he'd lose. So he got tired of losing, and he decided to go buy him something that would hang with him, and so this is what they started driving down here. I mean, the car's got on 68,000 original miles on the chassis, and that was the only time he drove it, was on the weekends to come back home just to play with his old school buddy. So, and didn't see the car for years, didn't know what happened to it. I can remember riding in it in the back seat when I was a youngin', and come to find out what happened and who had it, and they was more interested about selling property, and I wasn't interested in the property, but I did mention the old car. They decided to let me have it as long as I kept it in the family. So I'm going to pass it down to one of my kids, and hopefully they'll continue to bring it out and let everybody enjoy it too.
Let's talk about some of the memories that you see you rode in the back seat. Now, they come down from Macon, you say, and finally he bought him something that outrun most anything on the road.
Yeah, back then it was pretty stout, but we'd go out, you know, he'd carry us to the store or something like that in it, you know, and play with it, and you know, it was just childhood memories. And when I got a chance to get it, you know, I jumped at it. So
no question about that one.
No, I loved the body style. I loved the year. I mean, it was a race car to me back then, you know. So
tell me about you and your dad working on it together. Some of the things y'all did.
Well, we pretty much done everything. I mean, I was kind of shocked when he wanted to tear it completely apart. You know, I wouldn't plan on going on it that deep, but we didn't want to have any Bondo on it, so we took it apart piece by piece and bought new fenders and doors and put it back together. And it was just something I'll always remember doing with him.
And could you speculate on how many hours y'all put in this car?
No, I couldn't tell you how many hours we spent on it. You know, like I said, it was a weekend thing that we would go down there, and you know, there'd be weekends we'd stay in there all day, just pulling something apart or trying to put it back together. And we had the motor and transmission rebuilt, and it's still got the factory carburetor on it. So I mean, we just rebuilt the carburetor and started ordering parts, and it started coming back together. And the more it come together, the better it got to looking to me.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's a beautiful car. Robert, what's your daddy's name?
His name's Robert Blizzard.
Okay. All right. Well, we appreciate you sharing this. We appreciate you bringing it out today. And, you know, I know when people might see you out riding in it on occasion or come to a car show. Let's talk just for a minute about the park here. You grew up around the park, didn't you?
Yes, sir, I did. I grew up here. Actually worked on this park for about 5 years with engineering construction, DNR.
Yeah.
And got to replace a lot of the materials on the park here. I've done a lot of work on this park. And I'm currently employed at Robins Air Force Base now.
All right. And so what do you tell people about the park? How important is it to keep this park alive?
Well, I think it's important to keep all the parks alive, you know, no matter how big or small they are. They all need somebody to remember, you know. I mean, if you look at some of the buildings around here, they wouldn't cut with regular saws. I mean, they were hand done. And it puts a lot of perspective when you have to replace one and put it back original. You know, they were real men back then. I mean, there wasn't no electric tools, or it was all hand done. And I mean, I love the park. It's always been nice and clean, and you know.
Well, we want to encourage y'all, if you didn't make it out this year, we want you to make it out next year to the show. It'll be online. It'll be about the same time. We want you to be looking for it. We want you to pay a visit to the park and support McRae, because this is a beautiful park. No matter where you live, you'll want to come see it. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Thank you.